On the news, Nigeria Labour Congress gives CBN and federal government 7 working days to end cash crunch. Governors give Malami Emefiele Tuesday ultimatum to obey Supreme Court. And Appeal Court reserves judgment on Osun governorship appeal. Hello and welcome to News Now on TV360 Nigeria. I am Simisola Adigun. The leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress has issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government to end the cash crunch in the country. President of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, issued the ultimatum on Monday in Abuja at the opening session of the Central Working Committee meeting of the Labour Union. Ajaero, who expressed displeasure over the difficult situation foisted on Nigerians as a result of the cash swap policy of the federal government, warned that on the expiration of the 7 days, workers will be directed to stay away from work if nothing is done to ameliorate the situation. The NLC president equally criticized the current fuel scarcity in the country, lamenting that workers and Nigerians are being pushed to the wall.
The NLC is giving the federal government of Nigeria and the agencies of government, including the Central Bank of Nigeria and other banking institutions, 7 working days to address the issue of the cash crunch. If they fail to do this, at the expiration of the 7 days, Congress is directing all workers in the country to stay at home, because it has become very difficult to even access 1 naira to enter vehicles to your workplace. It is difficult for you even to buy products, especially from traders who don't have banks. This is the situation we have found ourselves. The federal government came out with a policy that even the old currency are still valid. What we have discovered is that even when the banks give you those old currencies, the traders are not accepting it. And even when you take it to the same banks, the banks are not accepting it. We have been frustrated to a level that we can no longer keep quiet.
In a related development, state governments have issued an ultimatum to Godwin Emefiele, the Central Bank of Nigeria governor, and the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami, to comply with the verdict of the Supreme Court on the controversial Naira swap policy. The state government's counsel, Abdulhakeem Mustafa, who threatened to file contempt charges against Emefiele and Malami on Tuesday, March 14, 2023, should they fail to obey the court order, said he expects immediate compliance with the order from the federal government following the court's judgment. In February, some state governments sued the federal government over the policy that led to a lingering cash crunch in the country. After a series of court proceedings, the Supreme Court on Friday, March 3, ordered that the old 1,000 naira, 500 and 200 naira notes should be in circulation alongside the new notes till December 31, 2023. Now, for more insights, Monday Obani, second vice president of the Nigeria Bar Association, joins me now. Thank you very much for joining me, Mr. Obani. Now, since the court pronounced its judgment on the old Naira notes, Malami and Emefiele have kept mum over the verdict as traders and businesses continue to reject the old notes. Now, where does the law stand on matters like this?
The position of the law is that when a pronouncement of the court is made, it becomes binding on all authorities and persons that are within jurisdiction. Now, as long as that pronouncement has been made several days back, one would have expected that everyone in the country will comply. This issue of waiting for another pronouncement or announcement from the presidency or from the central bank governor is clearly unnecessary. And I'm not happy with Nigerians not complying with the judgment of the court, waiting for pronouncement from the president or from the central bank governor. If we have decided to actually obey the law, then we don't need to begin to wait for the presidency to make a pronouncement. Now, this particular policy has subjected Nigerians to harrowing experience. And Nigerians are really suffering. As I speak to you, there are many things I cannot be able to buy because I don't have any cash. I couldn't purchase diesel in my office today because the ATM was not dispensing and the POS are not working. They don't have any cash. So it is something that is very, very bad for a policy you meant for the people, for the interest of the public, bringing so much hardship, and you're keeping quiet. And the president is not saying anything with regards to what the Supreme Court has said concerning that pronouncement. So the law is that the pronouncement has been made and it's binding, and it should be the applicable law presently with regards to the currency matter in Nigeria.
Now, I'd like to know, another disturbing thing is that the president, like you earlier said, has not said anything concerning the Supreme Court case. He hasn't addressed it at all. Now, people are saying that the president is guilty of contempt. Now, what would you say in that instance, now that the president has not said anything? I mean, where do the people stand at this moment, at this time?
I think it's the people that are rejecting the Naira, the old Naira, that should actually be charged for contempt. The moment a pronouncement is made, the people supposed to be accepting the old Naira notes. But it is Nigerians that are refusing to accept the old Naira note, despite the pronouncement of the Supreme Court. And so it will be difficult for you to now say, oh, you are going to hold the president liable for contempt, or the central bank governor liable for contempt, because you have not taken the money to central bank, and the central bank has refused to accept the old Naira note. That is where you can say that he should be held liable. This idea of waiting for the pronouncement of the president or that of the central bank governor is where the problem lies. So the moment we don't even believe what the Supreme Court has said and we're waiting for that pronouncement, so it becomes a useless judgment that has been rendered. Where it is the people that is making that judgment to look useless. Actually, not the president and neither the central bank governor, because there is no way we can really fault them. Because the normal thing is not for them to make any pronouncement to validate a judgment of the court. The Supreme Court's judgment doesn't require any validation from either the president or from the central bank governor. So it's the people themselves that are rejecting the old notes that should actually be brought before the court for contempt, and not the president or the central bank governor. That's my view. That's my candid view. Unless we have evidence that the president himself has refused to align with the position of the Supreme Court, or the central bank has refused to align, then you can now say that they are liable. But in the circumstance that there is a pronouncement, for God's sake, where are Nigerians rejecting the old Naira note that the Supreme Court says it is valid? Why are they rejecting it? Why are the transporters rejecting it? Why are the market women rejecting it? Because it's means of medium of exchange. We don't need to take it to central bank before we can accept money and then give whatever value we are giving, and then probably sell also to another person to also give us value. So it's Nigeria that are actually disobeying the Supreme Court judgment, and not the central bank governor or the presidency.
You notice that even the banks are not the people are rejecting the notes because the banks are not even accepting those notes, and that's where the actual problem is. That's what is putting us in a fix right now. So what is the way out? Who exactly are we to listen to? The federal government, or the state MFLA, and the Attorney General of the Federation?
It's clearly very shameful, the kind of parting gift that the presidency of President Buhari is leaving behind. It's very, very shameful. Now, the situation is that my bankers called me, or I called them on Friday, and they told me they have some old notes that if I need it, I should come and take it. I told them that, look, you are giving me old notes, but the problem is there are some certain persons that do not accept it. And as I speak to you today, many Nigerians are complaining that people are not accepting it. So the banks are still dispensing old notes. They have it in their possession. But the point is, people are not accepting it. Now, if you bring it back to the banks, they now ask you to go and generate a code. Then there must be a code you have to generate from the central bank before they can accept it. So thereby creating a whole lot of confusion in the system. My take is that the presidency of President Buhari is leaving a very bad legacy. He's putting Nigerians into total confusion. He's making us to pass through harrowing experience that is unnecessary. I don't know what they are meant to achieve by this. If it's for political reasons, for God's sake, the political era is almost over, and we are still having seen the new cash. We have not seen the old currency even in circulation. So there are issues, and I think at this juncture, we need to really sit down as a nation and know what the problem is and begin to sort it. And I still probably put it on the doorstep of the president to really solve this problem. I'm not talking about charging him for contempt. I'm saying that the president should be able to know that there is a situation on ground, and as a president of the country who is interested in the welfare of the people and the well-being of the people, should address this issue squarely and reduce the level of hardship that is actually Nigerians are experiencing presently. It is not a good thing. It's not a good omen. It's not a good parting gift for him as an administration.
Well, many thanks for your time and your contribution, Monday Obani. Hopefully the situation, eases up in the days to come. Thank you very much. To politics, the appeal court has reserved judgment on the Osun State governorship appeal filed by Governor Ademola Adeleke. A three-member panel led by M.F. Shuaibu, after listening to counsel for the parties in the case, said the date of the judgment would be communicated to them later. Adeleke had on February the 9th appealed the judgment of the Osun State Governorship Tribunal, which nullified his election. In the 31 grounds of appeal filed on Wednesday, Adeleke is praying the court for an order setting aside the whole decision of the tribunal. The governor is equally seeking an order striking out the petition for want of competence and jurisdiction, or in the alternative, an order dismissing the petition on the merit. INEC had declared Adeleke the winner of the election after polling a total of 403,371 votes. But the election petition tribunal, in a split decision of 2-1, invalidated the election and declared Oyetola of the APC as the winner of the poll. The governorship candidate of the Social Democratic Party in Lagos State, Kunle Uthman, has condemned the defection of his deputy, Abeni Animashaun, to the All Progressives Congress days before the election. At a press conference in Lagos on Monday, Uthman said Abeni was seen as an asset to the party until she decided to defect on the 8th of March 2023. Speaking further, Uthman also urged Lagos residents to come out en masse to vote for the party of their choice on March 18. While commending INEC's effort on beavers during the presidential and national assembly elections, Uthman urged the electoral umpire to replicate the same effort in Saturday's polls.
As we approach the gubernatorial election, we are a reasonable, disciplined, mannered political party. You will recall that when Moshood Kashima Wabiola and King Gibe contested their election, they won, but they were denied victory. For us, election is not to be desperate. We desire victory, but we also believe that the final mandate is with the people, because democracy is notoriously known as the government of the people, for the people, and by the people themselves. So it is for people to troop out on Saturday to decide whosoever they believe that they want to vote for, and for all of us to support whoever is chosen. But for the record, we will never ever be part of an APC government that, as far as we are concerned, we have said it everywhere, at interview, political fora, everywhere, that they are a failure.
Moving on, former governor of Old Anambra, Jim Onwobodo, has endorsed the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Enugu State, Peter Mba, as his sole candidate for the March 18 polls. At a press conference he held at his country home at Amechi Akano in Enugu, the elder statesman said Mba's manifesto is not a mere rhetoric, but a working document with plans of action and timelines for delivery. Onwobodo also appealed to youths in the state to vote massively for Mba, as well as shun violence, reject calls for violence, angry and vengeance voting. He enjoined the people of the state to reject divisive calls and sentimental and clannish voting that will keep Enugu in a state of stunted development.
Who among the candidates has a message that addresses the problems of the youths and the people in Enugu State? A man whose manifesto resonates with people across gender, age, and tribe. Peter Mba is that man, going by my knowledge of who he is. To reject calls to violence and go to your research polling unit on Saturday, March 18, to vote for Peter Mba, the man who will bring back Enugu to the status of the capital of Old Eastern Region and the capital of Southeast. I give you my word, Peter Mba will not disappoint the people of Enugu State.
We'll take a break here, but still to come. Despite Naira scarcity, e-payment falls to 37.67 trillion Naira. Details of the story and more right when we return. Welcome back. Now here is a recap of some of our top stories tonight. The leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress (NLC) has issued a 7-day ultimatum to the federal government to end the cash crunch in the country. President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Joe Ajaero, who expressed displeasure over the difficult situation foisted on Nigerians as a result of the cash trap policy of the federal government, warned that on the expiration of the 7 days, workers will be directed to stay away from work if nothing is done to ameliorate the situation. We also told you that the appeal court has reserved judgment on the Osun State governorship appeal filed by Governor Ademola Adeleke. Adeleke had on February the 9th appealed the judgment of the Osun State Governorship Tribunal, which nullified his election. Now, in case you missed any of our news bulletins, or for more updates, you can catch us on Limex World TV or log on to our website on www.tv360nigeria.com. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at TV360 Nigeria. On Facebook, we're at TV360 Online. Discovering the origins of COVID-19 is a moral imperative and all hypotheses must be explored, the head of the World Health Organization has said. Tedros Ghebreyesus made the post on Twitter on Saturday to mark 3 years since the WHO first used the word pandemic to describe the global outbreak of COVID-19. In an open letter over the weekend, activists and politicians and academics said that the focus of the anniversary should be on preventing a repeat of the unequal COVID-19 vaccine rollout, saying that this led to at least 1.3 million preventable deaths. We'll take another short break and return with business updates. Stay with us.
Opinions are free, facts are sacred, but truth is universal.
How, in practical terms, can we, for instance, de-escalate the tension?
President must see himself as the President of the Federal Republic.
We know where the enemy is. 3 places. The Lake Chad Basin, the border area between Nigeria and Cameroon, and then the Sambisa Forest.
On TV360, we give you a complete dose of everything. Opinion, facts, and undiluted truth.
I hardly believe what politicians say in this part of the world.
A new Nigeria is possible, a future is possible.
We delve into the issues, dissect it so that you can understand it, use it to take action.
I don't think there's any need for any governor to look for grant for ranching.
TV360, dissecting the issues.
Welcome back. Mary Kanu joins us now for more stories in business. Mary, what's the latest?
Thank you, Simisala. Hello and welcome to Business News. Cashless transactions fell to 37.6 trillion naira in February 2023 as Nigerians had to grapple with failed and delayed cash transfers. According to new data from the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System on Monday, this was a 4.83% fall from the 39.5 trillion naira that was recorded in January. The data revealed that e-payment gateways were used 901.46 million times, a 41.29% increase from the 638 million times they were used in January. Despite an increase in usage, the total value of cashless transactions fell in February, indicating an increase in the number of failed transactions. And 4 months after the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria shut the 18L domestic runway of the Murtala Mohammed Airport, Lagos, the agency has once again shut the 18R international runway of the airport. FAN disclosed this in a tweet on Monday, revealing that the runways were shut for maintenance, adding that work on the runways will span for 8 weeks. It also assured that normal airlines activities would not be affected as taxiway B18L will be used for all flight operations. We'll take a short break and return with stock market review. Nigeria's equities market opened this week on a slightly negative note, decreasing by 0.01%. Now, thanks to the lackluster interest of investors amid continuous profit-taking, 3 billion naira was shared off the market value. Market capitalization moved slightly lower from preceding trading to 30.4 trillion naira. Now, with about 3 naira loss, the Nigerian Exchange Group and MPF Microfinance Bank topped the losers chart. Now, the market's poor performance was felt across the sector as market breadth closed negative with 12 gainers and 21 losers. Now, today's data shows a decline in volume and turnover. Now, let's see how some global stocks are faring. Now, while the US Dow Jones and Asia's Nikkei are trading up, it is not a good trading day for the FTSE as the collapse of the tech-focused Silicon Valley Bank sent a financial shock through the UK, resulting in poor trading, and that's why we can see the FTSE is trading down at 0.27%. Well, that's the stock market report. Simisala, back to you.
Thank you very much, Mary, for that update. And on the global scene, Ukraine and Russia have suffered heavy losses as the battle for the Bakhmut rages on. Moscow has been trying to take the eastern Ukrainian city for months in a grinding war of attrition. According to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, Russian forces had suffered more than 1,100 deaths in the past few days, with many more seriously injured. Russia also confirmed that it had killed more than 220 Ukrainian service members over the past 24 hours. In sports, former Super Falcons coach Ismaila Mabo has died from a prolonged illness at 79. Mabo's brother Mansour Salihu in the early hours of Monday morning confirmed the news of his death. In 1998, Mabo led the Super Falcons to their first ever African Women's Cup of Nations AFCON win, scoring 28 goals and conceding none to lift the maiden trophy. He also led the Super Falcons to 1999 FIFA Women's World Cup and was also in charge at the 2000 and 2004 Summer Olympics. However, funeral activities have commenced with prayers at the family house in Jos and the burial at the Zaria Road burial ground, according to Muslim rites. Well, that's our bulletin this evening. Many thanks for watching. I'm Simisola Ajikun. Bye for now.